Light bulb, wheel, airplane, flying car. Growing up, I was always fascinated with the world of tomorrow. Inventions that would take humankind to extraordinary new worlds full of laser guns and androids. My father had a subscription to Gadget Times, a monthly publication covering new designs, concepts, and products that would revolutionize the world. I would spend Sundays afternoons scrolling through the pages, wondering what it would be like to live in the future. One name would always pop up: Gary Grossman, a man who was ahead of his time, a futurist, a visionary, a man of intellect beyond our imaginations. Years later, during my senior year of college, I needed a subject for my capstone project. I reached out and was lucky to set up an interview with my childhood idol, Gary Grossman.
How would I describe Gary Grossman? In the world of amateur inventors, he was a legend. Always energetic, always working on the next big project. No matter how many times he got knocked down, he'd always climb right back up, dust off his pants, get back to work. And you know, just never a dull moment. Just always exciting to be around. You could feed off his energy and his optimism. Yeah. I never did mind the crazy ideas that came out of Gary next. Sure, I mean, you have your Jobs, your Musk, your Teslas, your Bells, but Gary was like Teslas and Bells before they were Teslas and Bells. It's like, you know, something was coming and you wanted to get next to him, you know? Like waiting for that next big reveal. And it was something, the next big invention that was going to change the world. And you know it's going to be big. Bigger than Snappy Turtle or Potato Peel, if that's possible. Gary is the guy to do it. Every day was like opening a new present of ingenuity from a Santa Claus of creativity, from the North Pole of imagination. If it's possible to have two North Poles, because you can't replace the original Santa. Maybe they live in a duplex. But he was Gary. Something always going on in his brain. Always tinkering, always looking on the bright side. Gary was full of life.
Today, we say goodbye to a giant among us. The Idea Man. I've known Gary for about 10 years. I met him at the Innovator Conference in Fort Worth. I could see a couple of innovators here. To be honest, when I first met Gary, I didn't like him. He wasn't that approachable. Not that he was an asshole. It's just that he's Gary. Gary was in his own world. We were lucky to visit that world, and we often did. I'd often help out with Gary's prototypes. As we all know, it's often a risky and dangerous business. I was always worried about safety, but he was doing what he loved, and that's a life worth living, even if it was cut short. Every year I thought, this is the year Gary goes. Sorry, Gary. But at the same time, I thought, he's gonna live forever. Does that make sense? Be around like the sun, or running water, or coffee in a can. There for me every morning, patent pending. I've come up with a secret formula of finely ground coffee in aerosol form. All you do, pop this up here when you want a jolt. Woo! I am firing on all cylinders now. Woo! I am still working on the latte version. Apparently the fats in the dairy don't mist well and have caused a few cases of infection. Doctors are calling it milky lung. But the coffee version is great. Do you want to pick me up without feeling bloated? Hate having to piss all the time? Coffee in a can.
Have you tried maybe vapes?
I don't think that would work, but thanks for your input. I'm still looking for some beta testers if anybody's interested. You have your mochaccino, you have your espresso blend, you have your spicy squash, which should not be confused with pumpkin spice. This one's got jalapenos in it, and it'll really wake you up and get the old bowels moving, if you know what I mean. So just come up, grab yourselves a comment card, let me know what you think, because I think that Gary would have loved coffee in a can. I'm gonna miss that guy. Could we all raise our rings in a moment of silence for Gary Grossman? One of the greatest inventors that ever lived, well, besides all the greatest inventors that have lived throughout my lifetime. But I am gonna miss and love that man.
I met with Gary at his modest workshop in Western New York.
Pretty neat, huh? I knew you were on my porch before you were even on my porch.
Are we early? We were scheduled for 3. It's on the calendar.
Come on in. Come on in. Welcome, welcome. That's Mary. And you caught us right in the middle of lunch, so we'll go up to my workshop.
Is this your workshop?
No, that's Mary's craft room. And her meditation room. She's quick. This is her movie room. She loves classic horror films. And modern horror films. She loves horror films. This is the bedroom. It's private. A gentleman never kisses and tells. Come on, let's go up to my workshop. Sorry, I had to get that down before I forgot. Where were we?
What is your most successful invention?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm living glamorously, but this guy's paying the bills and then some.
Oh, the butter ring. Can we see it in action for the camera?
Sure. Would you like me to butter too?
Sure.
Naturally, once we saw money coming in, we tried to expand. We've got the his and her butter rings, and also the butter brass knuckles. Of course, we're trying to rebrand these because brass knuckles are illegal in most states. And you wouldn't want somebody confusing the two, because you wouldn't want somebody bringing butter to a brass knuckle fight. That wouldn't be pretty. Pretty tasty, maybe. Yeah. Also, don't bring these things to the airport. Those people take their job very seriously.
And so now you're on to the next big thing?
Yeah, there's lots of projects in the works and, lots of stuff to work on over and over again. But this new thing, I have a lot of confidence in. I think this is going to do really well.
What is it?
This is an idea I have for an exercise machine.
And you don't think the market is oversaturated with exercise equipment already?
Well, I think that just means that the market for exercise equipment is strong. Just like mine will make you. See, mine is different because if you're first and you're different, then you win. But if you're second and you're the same, you lose. I suppose if you're not first or different and you have a really good marketing team, that would also work. Or if it's really well made, that could work too. See, mine is different though. Mine's different because normally you would need weights and a rowing machine and a bike and so on and so on. And then you have equipment everywhere taking up space. But what if there was one machine that engaged all your muscle groups at the same time in a motion that was very natural, so you didn't even know you were exercising. As natural as walking. Research walking.
Is the mic in the way?
No, it's fine. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, coming in loud and clear. Thanks for letting us interview you.
Of course. Is this going to make my voice sound small?
Sorry?
The microphone is so small.
No, Your voice will sound exactly as this.
It's amazing.
Can you state your name for the camera?
Hi, I'm Gary Grossmont. Welcome to my workshop. Maybe one with a side compartment for floss. It's a good idea.
You see, Gary's an ideal man. You got your ideal men, or your ideal women, of course. I'm a big fan of getting women into STEM. Go girls, woo! But your ideal people, they're the wild ones. The cowboys, the rebels, they're the ones who are really pushing the boundaries. And often people will look at their inventions and think, wow, that's stupid. Nobody's going to buy that. But those people can't see the future the way those ideal people can. They don't know because the ideal people are so ahead of their time. Most common folk can't fathom. Imagine the first person who saw the wheel. Well, the other person, not the inventor, but the first person who saw the invention. Here comes some guy down the path with a wheel that everybody thought was a witch. But look at him now. Changed the world forever. Now we have roller skates, roller coasters, and unicycles. Gary is an ideal man. A real inventor. We actually nicknamed him the Ideal Man, or Tim for short. Then you have your practicals, your engineers of engineering. These are the unheard of in the inventor's realm. Whether it's a small change in the production of something, a small cog or gear that does such and such, you never hear about it or know these folks by name. But large corporations do, and they pay top dollar for these silent warriors. Yeah, these guys or girls usually do very well for themselves. Then you have your rock stars, who in my opinion are just marketers disguised as inventors. Not to say they're not important, but they're more concerned about selling the invention, making it sexy and dazzling, putting it in a pretty package with pretty women or men or who are modeling it.
New from Solch, the high seas sea salt Poseidon, featuring a moon phase indicator, chronograph, and fine sea salt grinder, all in a sleek and stylish stainless steel polished case with crocodile skin bands. Whether sailing around the world, braving the rough seas, or just a night out in town, a watch for the everyman. Poseidon by Solch.
Do you think I need a bit more argan oil or sorry, do you have any hairspray?
Sorry. This is a documentary. We don't really carry makeup.
It's okay. I can get some if you
You look fine.
just fine.
You look great.
Okay.
So when did you first meet Gary?
Gary?
Gary Grossmont.
This is about Gary? You told me this was called the Idea Man. That man has never had a good idea in his entire life.
Yes, sorry. We sent a mission statement package to your assistant. Did you not get it?
I may have, but what good is an assistant if they don't look through these things beforehand? Hey, Laura.
Yes, Mr. Lockbarrel?
Tell Laura she's fired.
What? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Vance, Lockbarrel, and Gary. I best describe their relationship like... You ever build a volcano in grade school? Of course you have. Everyone has. Well, Vance is like vinegar, and Gary's kind of sweet, so he'd be the baking soda.
Is baking soda sweet?
It's soda. So, you put them both together, and it's a violent reaction, but also pretty cool. It's like two forces colliding together. They've been rivals since grade school, probably competing to see who can make the better volcano.
Are you still willing to interview? Our research shows an extensive history with Mr. Grossmont. Is that correct?
Well, you're here. And they say any publicity is good publicity. So, I don't know what they've told you about our inventions, but, I mean, that's the thing. Gary had ideas. I have inventions. Well, just the one. But the point is, they don't write about Tesla. I mean, okay, so they write about Tesla, but it's Edison who won. I won. Gary is a has-been. No, a never-been. Besides, while there are some similarities between our ideas, they're completely different. His was a butter ring. Mine is a salt watch. Completely different.
Is that Sulch? I always thought it was Swatch.
It's pronounced Sulch. The A is just upside down to represent a salt shaker. It's not my fault you don't understand my genius.
In my spare time, I like to give back to the community, so I run a little repair shop. I fix vacuums and clocks and cell phones, all pro bono. So here is a toaster that Mrs. Jenkins dropped off and said it's only toasting bread on one side. And see, everybody's so quick to throw something away when maybe all it needs is like a screw tightened, or maybe it just needs to be rewired, or maybe the cord's a little frayed. Oh, maybe I'll check that. Needs some work. It's like the whole world is made of plastic and everybody just keeps throwing everything away. But if you throw everything away, where's the value? It's like you bought a piece of trash that's just waiting to be a piece of trash. Take this camera, for instance. It's going to spend a small amount of time in your hand and then a lifetime in a landfill. But with a little bit of love, it's like as good as new. Or it's better than brand new. Maybe it's always had this issue, and after it's fixed, it's better than it was before. The key is to try to prepare as much as possible. I've spent years sketching in these books before any of my ideas became reality. It's good for me to work out all the kinks before I start building it.
I've noticed you have a lot of sketchbooks. Do you keep every drawing that you've ever done?
Oh yeah, I never throw any of them away. You never know when you might need to revisit something. You know, now that I think about it, I've never thrown anything away, except garbage.
Are they all sketches of your inventions in these books?
Mostly. Some little drawings, tidbits of my imagination. When I get really stumped, I like to sketch inventions from other inventors, like Galileo or Archimedes. It really allows me to get into their brains before everything was documented on video.
kind of see what they were thinking at the time. Like, this is Icarus. His dad, Daedalus, made these wax wings, which are pretty neat. And I guess, I don't know the whole story, but he flew too close to his sun, and they collided and really got banged up.
You mean the sun?
Yes. And you know the story of Edison shocking the elephant. I don't know the whole story, but it must take a lot to shock an elephant.
Do you think Edison was a trench coat person? I always thought he wore tweed.
I think it depends on the weather. Did you know he had over 1,000 patents? Amazing.
Here we are, my wall of fame. Some of these inventions might seem so small, yet so significant. True acts of inspiration, dedication, and ingenuity. Here we have Grace Hopper, pioneer of computer programming. And here's Philo Farnsworth. Television sets probably wouldn't be where they are today without his contributions. And Lewis Howard Latimer. He helped pioneer the electric light bulb and the telephone. So if you think about modern technology, things we use every day in our lives, it could probably be traced back to these three right here. Pretty relevant history for your documentary, I'd say.
Also says Mr. Latimer improved toilets on trains.
Yes, he did.
And he died in Flushing, New York. Flushing.
Are you okay, son? Do I need to get security?
Sorry. Would you consider these idea men?
Idea men?
Visionaries. People ahead of their time with fascinating ideas.
What do you think? Were you even listening to me? Plus, one is a woman. Let me tell you what I think about idea men. A man named Tommy Fropper from a small town in Kansas, he had an idea. He was an idea man. He sent us a letter saying that the government could save millions of dollars every year simply by reducing the size of the text on our documents. We print tens of thousands of documents every day, so you can imagine how that must really add up. Sounds like a great idea, right? Hey, Wanda, is this an N or an M? I have to do all of my parents' paperwork now. They're in their 80s. Do you know how difficult it is for people that age to read medications, sell-by dates on food, ingredients in case of allergies? All of that stuff that's really difficult to read, and we've only made it worse. Change of address form. 5 lines, and they put it on the size of a postage stamp. Thanks a lot, Tommy Fropper. You saved us a lot of money, except on glasses. You didn't think about that, did you, idea man?
Here's our own Hall of Fame.
World-changing inventions?
My world. Ideas that really put us on the map. Here's a potato peel. It peels the potato on the electricity of another potato. If that's not genius, I don't know what it is. Here's Snappy Turtle. I'm sure you've seen him mounted on the walls of many cabins. Hey, let's see if it still works. Isn't that great?
Do turtles have thumbs?
It's a snapping turtle.
Sketching is probably the most important part. You can really think about what is and isn't needed. Just by sketching out your ideas, you can eliminate 90% of the problems you might encounter. This one was quite the workout, and the breeze kept my nether regions comfortable, working up quite the sweat.
I think I got it. I think I've got it.
You worked out all the details?
Yeah, these worked out the kinks here, smoothed over some of these rough spots, and finally finalized the concept. I think we're...
Hang on, can we pause? Rich, can you stop whistling? I think it's being picked up by the mic.
Sorry. That's okay, Rich. From here on out, it's nothing but smooth sailing. So now it's time to take all those ideas that were floating around in my head and that I had written in journals and put them in a more formalized document, the blueprint.
But it's white.
Am I doing this right? I'm sorry, guys. I just need a minute.
Why is it called a blueprint? Where did that name come from? Blue. The sky is blue. What does it all mean? But buildings aren't blue. Some of them are. Not a lot of buildings are blue. The sky's only blue half the time. Maybe the guy's name was Bill Blue. The page is blue, and the lines are white, or off-white. No, they're white, but the page is blue. Would a page by any other color still be as blue? No. Why not pink or orange? Rojo. Blue. 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 Blue?
Don't I feel silly? They're called blueprints because the copies were blue. They were easier to read that way.
Did you go somewhere special that you often go to think? Somewhere that stimulates your mind, clears the cobwebs?
Nowhere in particular. Any place secluded works pretty well, where I don't have to think. The shower works sometimes, or the sensory deprivation tank.
Sensory deprivation tank?
This is a sensory deprivation tank, a great invention from American physician John C. Lilly. It's a light-proof, soundproof tank filled with salt water, where you can just float and let your mind clear all the distractions that build up through the day. Very therapeutic. I think everybody should try it at least once. I have one at home. It's a little smaller.
So peaceful and relaxing. I think everybody should try it at least once. I built one at home. We don't have as much room, so it's a little smaller.
What's the light for?
So people know it's occupied.
You don't always get things right away. You design it, you test it, you redesign it, and repeat. And of course you run into all kinds of hurdles. Life is just funny that way. And you won't always come up with a solution right away. Sometimes it takes months. You'll be drifting off and all of a sudden an idea will pop right into your head. The brain is kind of funny that way. Oh, excuse me, I have to take this. The Stolen Child by William Butler Yeats.
Gary? Gary, we let this intellectual giant have a moment of solitude. it was important to interfere with his creative process as little as possible.
While I was reading the poem, I had sort of a hypothesis. What if, when we sleep, our dreams act as sort of an engine warmer to keep our heart and lungs going in a low state? The heart and the lungs need constant signals from the brain, or else they'll shut off and we'll die. So what I did was I created a sleep solution to help me go into a deep rest, a submersible heater to keep the water warm, and the sound of a human heartbeat played at the volume of 80 decibels to recreate the in utero environment of our mother's wombs.
What happened?
I had a nightmare.
If your theory proved correct, wouldn't it kill you?
Let me ask you this. Is it worth living if we don't dream?
What?
Sometimes you have to put yourself in danger to test your theories and invention. It's all part of the process.
When did you meet Gary?
Good question.
What was he like as a child? What are you working on now?
I'm working on the model 1/18th scale.
Is the draft finished?
No, but I know what it's supposed to look like, so I'm skipping that step.
Is that part of the model?
No, that's my neighbor's cell phone. She just needed me to look at it.
Do you find it more productive to work on multiple projects at the same time?
Oh, absolutely.
Have you thought about using a 3D printer?
What would I need 3D paper for? Here you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Hello? Hello?
Nobody wants hand-me-downs anymore, but I was excited when I got my dad's stereo. Yeah, I've had to make repairs to it over the years and, find the parts, but that's an adventure in and of itself. It might sound silly for a self-proclaimed futurist and inventor to hang on to these relics, but you might say, oh, well, isn't that part of your job description where you invent new things for consumers to buy? And yeah, there's some truth to that, but there's just something about having a toaster you've had your entire life that toast the bagels the way you want, and the right temperature for rye. And don't even get me started on English muffins, all the nooks and crannies. I'm gonna be a toast scientist to figure that one out. Save your money for the truly amazing advances in technology, like flying cars or ray guns. But don't shoot anybody. Obviously, we have to keep the economy humming and people employed, but there's gotta be a better way, like a happy medium. Something catches my fancy, I'll give it a good look. But many times these inventions that are supposed to make our lives easier, like the maps on your phones, sure they help, but how many more hours a week do you need to work to afford this device? That's not making your life easier, unless you're a professional driver. But then you have to go to the store to pick it up. That's more time. Then you have to sit on the phone if you need customer support. That's more time out of your life for this thing that is supposed to save you time. Now multiply that over your lifetime. They say time is money, but I say money spent equals your life minus time. The map in my car costs $5. Well, obviously this highway is new. And sometimes they have you take rights when you should be taking lefts, but that just gets the brain moving, Sure, It might look silly when you get lost around the way, but figuring out your way makes you a little smarter. So when you get there, you're a little better for it. There's nothing dumb about that.
Did you ever think you'd have a famous son?
Who's that?
Gary, you know. He has quite the following. He's a bit of a celebrity.
Really?
Yes. Maybe the most prolific amateur inventor of our time. He's been on the cover of magazines.
Oh, his little projects. That's good to hear.
What was the first invention your son ever made?
Would you like to see some pictures?
Sure.
I think this was one of his first. He did it in wood shop or shop class. I forget what they call it. It was a birdhouse.
That's not really an invention.
Oh, I still have it in my yard. And it still works after all these years. Spring is the best time. That's when all the birds come back from the south and find a surprise. A little place where they can rest their heads inside the birdhouse that my boy built.
I don't think that really qualifies as an invention. Every kid builds one in a wood shop.
Oh, I remember that shop teacher. He invited us in to tell us what an exceptional student Gary was.
Gary? Yeah, I remember Gary. We don't do bird feeders anymore because of Gary. Taught shop 23 years without an incident. Then Gary comes along and I'm short 3 fingers.
What happened?
Well, bird feeders are what happened.
Oh, was there a shop accident? Table saw?
No. Gary thought he was going to show off, a little shit. He knew that I smoked cigars in the teacher's lounge. Of course, just every now and then. So instead of building a bird feeder like a normal kid, he built me a cigar cutter, shaped like a bird feeder. I go in to check the hole for smoothness. Next thing you know, I'm getting shunted off to the ER.
What happened to the other 2 fingers?
Well, I was trying to get the other ones to get reattached. Guess I should have known something was up with the black power cord attached to it. I ever see that?
Yep, I remember Gary. You don't forget kids like that. Smart kids, they come and go. Bad kids, the bad ones, you remember them in case you need to pick them out of a lineup. Then there's kids like Gary. Kind of smart, not really bad, but you keep your eye on them in case they burn down the building. Curious ones. That was our nickname for them.
I remember taking an IQ test in middle school. Did Gary take one?
Yeah. You know what? And I bet you we still have that. We keep everything in case the police need it. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it is. I remember this one. He scored a little bit above average, 109.01.
I didn't know IQ tests went into decimals.
They don't. But he was kind of right on the last question, like half right, you know what I mean? Sometimes there can be 2 answers to a question. So we had to acknowledge that he was a little bit above average. So we did. A little bit above average.
Surely the IQ test was administered improperly. Gary Grossmont, just slightly above average? That couldn't be correct. More like slightly above genius. Thomas Edison and Churchill did horrible in school, but look at them now.
School was difficult for me. I got pushed into a few lockers, my fair share of swirlies, wedgies, bloody noses, black eyes. And that was just in grade school. Don't even get me started on high school. But the thing I kept telling myself throughout the whole thing was protect your brain, Gary, because that's the most important muscle. Is it a muscle? It doesn't matter. It's more important than triceps or biceps or forceps, because in the long run, survival of the fittest is not about who's the strongest or who can fight the best. It's about who can solve the problems, outthink their opponent. That's the real asset to society. I mean, the hawk can have his talons, the bear can have his claws, but we didn't get to where we are by being strong or ferocious. We had our wits. Do you know Sun Tzu? Largely to be considered the greatest military strategist of all time. Did you know he also wrote a book?
You know, I don't think this was the first, but I do remember this one. He spent so much time on this one. He called it a something.
Perpetual motion machine.
Yes, that's it. Cookies.
Really, are you sure? I find it hard to believe that someone of Gary's intellect would try for such a fool's errand as a perpetual motion machine.
Well, he was only 9 years old. Things that kids get into.
History is full of charlatans and fools trying to invent and sell a perpetual motion machine. One that produces more energy than needed to operate? It would totally violate the first law of thermodynamics. Any person with half a brain would know that. Gary's mom must have him confused with someone else.
Boy, I never saw a kid work so hard on something. He'd get tired trying to make that thing work. And he'd just go and go and go. It had a crank that was supposed to start the machine. And he would crank it until lunch non-stop, trying to get a machine that would run itself. Then he'd have to take a nap. He'd wind it up and up, and then it would run for a few seconds, only to stop. I think it was supposed to run on magnets or something. What kind of kid asks for magnets for his birthday? At least it kept him busy. He was always coming up with something crazy. He was like a hamster. He'd go round and round, but never really going anywhere. 2 years he worked on this, till he realized, well, is he still doing it? He didn't give up. Not until he had to go to the hospital.
Was it tough seeing your son in the hospital?
I got used to it.
One day my mom told me about this drink, Spornge. It was like this orange sports drink that NASA had developed for long space flights. And, there was these commercials on Sunday mornings on the cartoons, and I'd see it and I'd be like, I gotta have it. And so I'd ask my Mom, pick up some Spornge. And once she got it, I was hooked. I mean, astronauts drink this? It's gotta be good, right? So every trip to the grocery store, it's like, Mom, buy some Spornge, or can I get some Spornge? Please bring back some Spornge. And I drank it nonstop. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, that's all I needed was Spornge. That's me in the hospital. Liver failure, I think. It turns out the astronauts ate and drank things other than Spornge. In fact, they didn't drink Spornge at all. That was a myth. And now I can't really see anything that shade of orange without feeling a little nauseous.
He would spend all day in the shower. That's where he would come up with his ideas. That's where he came up with the idea for the something. He was all soaking wet. Comes out of the shower and says, Mom, guess what I thought of? and never thought to bring a towel to dry himself off. That's
I still
just
couldn't
the way
abandon
his
the
mind
idea that
worked.
Gary would try a perpetual motion
We
machine.
would be at the beach.
Was he not the man I thought he was? Was he a big, giant fake this whole time? Only morons try to make something so impossible as a perpetual motion machine. It wasn't even an invention of science fiction. It was something of complete fantasy. Might as well try and breed unicorns.
It wasn't a perpetual motion machine. It was a time machine.
A time machine? That's so cool. So do you know about the time machine?
Well, he won't let anyone see it, but I've heard the rumors. Whether it's possible or not, who knows? Maybe in the future. Although, it's weird if they have built it in the future. Why have they not visited us yet, you know? Present it as a gift or tell us something like the future. Or maybe it's so far into the future they haven't gotten to this point yet. And that makes you wonder. What events are so horrible in the near future that they have to go to that future first but not visit us in our time? Are they still working on it? Makes you think.
Yes, I've heard of the time machine. But get this. It's in his basement. I mean, how stupid is that? I mean, what's the plan? You're gonna time travel to what? Some other person's basement? Or worse, buried underground? I mean, the thing is, you don't travel on an X or Y axis, okay? You simply travel through time. I tried telling him, you want to have this in an open field or something, but he says that he's not building a time machine. Denies it.
How do you know what's in his basement?
I have an appointment with something.
So there's a rumor of a time machine.
That's just what it is, a rumor. Oh, ladybug. I don't want to scare it. They bleed from their knees when they get scared.
And that's in the basement? Is that what you're working on in the basement? The time machine?
And I don't want to get blood on my crops.
Is it true?
What?
The time machine.
Look, off the record,
Sure.
I know what people are saying, but I just can't say anything about it until I have some proof. You understand.
So you are working on a time machine.
Like I said, maybe there's a time machine, but I can't say anything until I have proof.
What proof would you need?
Every time I use it, I am transported somewhere, but I don't know if it's across time.
Still, just that it transports, that's something, right?
But does it transport across time? Because it can't be a time machine if it doesn't transport across time. And I don't know what time it is.
What?
I can never find a calendar.
What are you working on now?
Corn. Gotta throw the little ones back. Sorry guys, this one's private. I'll meet you upstairs in the workshop in a little bit.
Come on, let's see if there's a window. Did you see it? Did you get it on film? The time machine, oh my god! History is full of forward thinkers, dreaming of the day of moving through space and time to visit the past and warn us of Hitler and other bad people, or to the future and see what we can't even imagine. Is Gary the man to make this happen? To move the human species not in inches and miles, but in months and years? We followed Gary in hopes of getting more dirt on the time machine. Gary Grossspot, are you working on the time machine?
No, I'm mixing concrete.
For the time machine?
No, for a sidewalk.
But there's already a sidewalk.
A better sidewalk. Sidewalk 2.0. It's going to revolutionize the foot transportation industry.
Ever bump into someone? Pretty annoying, right? Well, today I put on my civil engineer hat and we're testing out a foot traffic idea I've been working on for some time. It's not really anything new, but an improvement on an existing idea, which is okay. That's what it's all about, right? Making life easier for everyone. I call it the walk around.
The sidewalk roundabout needs some work. You can't expect a user to know how to correctly operate something, right away. You have to show them with like a manual or an instructional video. Because some things are very intuitive, but if it's something brand new that nobody's ever seen before, you can't expect them to get it right away. Like for instance, my father, it took him several Thanksgivings before he got the hang of the electric carving knife. He would just be cutting right into that turkey, just cutting right down the side of that turkey until there was nothing left but turkey crumbles. We never really looked forward to Thanksgiving, to be honest with you. It was the worst meal. Well, the model's all done, just in time for Contraption Con. Or is it Gadget Con? They both exist. I don't know why they have them on the same day. But either way, it's the biggest event this side of the Mississippi, north of the Mason-Dixon line, east of the Adirondacks. But it's a really great event where you can just walk around and see the future of technology. Lots of young folks attend, and it's great to see them pursuing careers in amateur inventorism.
Is inventorism a word?
Well, I just invented it. I tell the young inventors it doesn't have to be something super crazy, your first project, or your life career project. When you work on your whole life, it can be super simple. For instance, take my tie. It looks like a normal bolo tie, stylish yet functional.
Well, one day I was walking and my shoe kept coming off because the lace kept breaking. I thought, my tie is about the same length and thickness. I'll just replace my shoelace with my tie. Sure, I didn't look as well dressed, but what good is having a bolo tie if your shoe keeps falling off? Luckily, I had my kipper tie as a backup. So I'm walking when, wouldn't you know it, my belt broke. Well, I thought, good thing I have my kipper tie also, and I used that as a belt.
Voila, the Kiplo tie. It can be a bolo, or a kipper, or a belt, or shoelaces, or cut it in half and it's both. I made 4 in case of emergency. Goodbye, Mary. I'm off to Gadget Con. These events aren't really my thing. I'd much rather be in the workshop working on projects. This marketing thing, much to my downfall, is probably just as important as the other part. I just don't want to come off as a snake oil salesman who's trying to promise something factitious or undeliverable. But I guess you know the old saying, if you invent something awesome in the forest and it doesn't make a sound, no, that doesn't make any sense. If you invent something in the forest and it makes a sound, did you really invent anything at all? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Communication's not really my thing.
That's the idea, man. we get your autograph?
Absolutely, young person. Just because it's not my thing doesn't mean I don't enjoy the limelight a little bit.
Thanks, Idea Man.
They always get a kick out of this one.
That's so cool.
All right, everybody move in close. Sometimes it's the simplest ideas that can be a real breakthrough in making your life easier. See y'all inside. It's weird the door's locked.
Whoa, watch out for the pin, man.
You guys know how long until the convention starts?
We've got about 26 hours, give or take.
But it's the 15th. It's always on the 15th.
It's the 14th, man.
Mary said it was today. It needs some work. The marketing, it needs some work.
Is rejection your greatest fear? No. No, rejection is just something you have to accept and learn from. My greatest fear is, what if one day I wake up and there's no more ideas? I wake up, I brush my teeth, I have breakfast, and go about my day, and there's no thought other than what to do next, what to have for dinner, and what to watch on TV. And my fear is that it would happen the next day as well, and then the day after that the ideas no longer pop into my head. Because as frustrating as they can be, they are what gets me out of bed in the morning. What if that stops? So I try to exercise my mind, keep it healthy, active. I read, do puzzles, but what if it's not enough? What if I develop Alzheimer's or dementia? These are my fears. I read an article that said reading can help with Alzheimer's, and another article on how we develop new synapses every time we take a route not taken. And that really stuck with me, that we can keep our brain healthier just by taking a road we've never taken before. Well, I've taken all the roads in my town, so I came up with these goggles that display streets from around the world. So you believe you're walking down Champs-Élysées when you're really on Main Street.
Please say your name for the camera.
Mary Strasburger.
Did you not take Gary's name? Afraid of being married to someone famous?
No. Afraid of lawsuits and harassment.
Can you explain?
I love my husband. But someday, someone is going to use one of his inventions, and that person is going to be seriously injured, possibly even die. I need to protect my assets from possible litigation that may come. I love him, but I need to protect myself.
Isn't most of that money from the sales of the butter ring?
Heavens no. We haven't seen a dime in years from that.
How does he fund his work?
Hey Jerry, I'm doing an interview right now. Tell him I'll do 5% but no less. Sorry. I give him an allowance. He asked me to take care of finances, so I've been investing, buying properties, mostly long-term stuff.
We are recording this. Gary watches the video.
And does he drift off often? Stare into space? Start looking at the wall as if there's a takeout menu on there?
Yes.
Poor guy. He is always thinking, but never about any one thing for more than a few seconds, and then he's off on another wild dream of his. I'm surprised he gets anything done. He might watch the videos, but he's thinking about the next big thing. That's just how he is. So, yeah, basically, I loan Gary the money for his little experiments.
Well, if you're so worried about the safety of his inventions, aren't you worried about Gary being hurt?
Yes. I was always afraid of Gary dying. But how do you stop someone from doing what they love? Even if what they love is stupid. Stupid. Very stupid. But you love them. So you just embrace it and hope for the best.
The thing I like the most about what I do is the kind of jack of all trades aspect. You know, every day is different. Today I'm taking the day off, but I wouldn't have to stay till 5 to work on something that wasn't coming to me, you know? I could work on something different or a completely new project altogether. Or I could take a nap and watch TV. I tried the regular job route for a little while, but it didn't really pan out. And I'm not sure if that's because I have that attention deficit. Oh, I should probably change this thing. Or add a preservative to make it so the butter's not so rancid.
When's the last time you cleaned it?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I should write that down. Although I just thought of something. I like being able to focus on whatever's holding my attention at the time, you know? I'll be fine. My body will heal. As long as my mind's intact. I don't think you guys should interview me today. Do you want your laugh mic back?
Of all of his contraptions, the birdhouse was always my favorite.
Do you smoke cigars?
I don't like birds.
Do you think his inventions will ever end up killing someone?
Oh, you don't know?
No what?
Nothing. Nothing.
Was Gary's father an influence in his inventions? How could such dangerous contraptions pass the test and go on to obtain the prestigious U.S. patent and enter the marketplace? People could seriously get hurt. How is this even possible?
Here he is, getting an award for most patents submitted, although none of them were accepted. It was a bittersweet moment, kind of like a virgin Casanova. Poor guy.
Wait, none were accepted?
Nope, not a single one. Can't blame the guy for trying, though.
Then why is he on so many of your magazine's covers?
He's not, he's on the back. Kind of like, hey, check out this stupid thing for a quick laugh. Kind of like a joke, like, hey, look here, this stupid thing here. Bring some humor to the magazine.
So Gary has never had a patent accepted?
Poor guy.
Is Gary not the man I thought he was? Have I been reading magazines backwards this whole time?
Gary Grossmont? Yes, I know Gary Grossmont. He's the bane of my existence. No, I take that back. I love Gary Grossmont. He's the light of my life. I used to hate Gary, but now I enjoy rejecting his submissions. I even made a special stamp for Gary. This is the normal one. And here is Gary's stamp. You know, if I don't see another Gary Grossmont submission come across my desk, then somebody should check my pulse, because that either means that I'm dead, and they've pushed off his paperwork to some other poor schmuck, or he's dead. And I'm fine with either. The United States Patent Office used to be a place of honor. We have a wall of world-changing ideas that shaped our future, our children's future, and now we have a paper wall of Gary Grossman's failed ideas. I literally have a forest worth of paper of submissions that man has sent over to my desk. But at least he's probably saved the United States Postal Service. 42 stamps. You could mail a car with 42 stamps. Nobody needs 42 stamps. And thanks to Gary, I no longer participate in the office betting pools. Because that's how I got every single one of Gary's submissions. Because I lost.
Did you know that Gary doesn't own any patents? That all of them have been rejected by the patent office?
Of course, the guy is a hack. I mean, not to mention dangerous. I'm surprised the guy's still alive. I mean, it's like watching a guy get kicked in the balls, which is hilarious, but it's still just a guy getting kicked in the balls. After the 20th time, it's just sad.
So you've never tried any of his inventions? Even the buttering?
No, I don't have a death wish. No one's ever died from the sulch.
Aren't you facing several lawsuits of wrongful death, including famous Swiss rock climber Sven Beringston, who was climbing El Capitan free solo when his sulch unexpectedly opened up?
I'm done with this interview. If you want to talk, you can talk to my lawyer. Lawyers with an S.
Is that a Rolex?
Hey, Laura, can I get security in here?
This is Dave. Laura no longer works here?
They say, never meet your heroes. I'm starting to have serious doubts about my project. Maybe Gary Grossmont wasn't who I thought he was. I'll admit it's mostly my fault for not doing enough research before filming my documentary. I only know Gary from my childhood, an inventor, a man made of myth and magic, able to create ideas out of thin air. Now I wonder if he was just a false idol all along, a sufferer of delusion and grandeur, an amateur trying to punch above his weight, only to be knocked out in the first round of every match.
Excuse me, waitress. May I have some butter, please?
Sorry, we just ran out.
Oh.
Wish there was a better way to carry butter.
Was there still time to salvage my film? Maybe I could interview Vance Lockbarrel instead, or maybe someone with a patent or two. Or maybe I could realize my own feeble attempt at being a journalist and move on to a more stable, realistic career. Would that be my lesson from Gary?
Well, tomorrow's the big day. We're taking the prototype out for its first test. It's kind of like when your child learns to ride a bike for the first time. You teach them everything you can. You study the bike for them, and then you send them off into the world, watching them soar, doing something they'll never forget. Or they crash, break an arm, and never want to get on a bike again. It could go either way.
I think I see him! There he is!
Wow. Wow. I feel like I just got 10 years at the gym in one single workout. What did the watch say? How long was I on for?
4 minutes, 41 seconds.
All right, let's see how many calories I burned. 652. That's good. It seems good. Is that good?
Is your arm okay?
What? Oh, yeah, that just means the blood's flowing. I'd call that a success. Now, all that's left to do is submit that... Let's submit that patent. Today's the big day. Off to the mailbox with my submission in hand. This is the one. I can feel it. I just gotta drop it in a mailbox and wait for the letter. Could have sworn there was a mailbox around here. This is it. Finally. You know, I've done this a million times, but it never gets old. It's like a first kiss. You just gotta go for it. I hope she won't reject it. But I got a good feeling about this one. She's not gonna reject my kiss. She's gonna accept it. And then we're gonna grow old together. We're gonna sit on the porch and think about the first time we met. This is it. Rejected. Rejected. It's just, that was the fastest. It's just so frustrating. They have this giant red rubber stamp. It's just ridiculous. No, it's not just ridiculous, it's mean.
Why was it rejected?
Patent already exists. Their words.
What? Really?
Yeah, they said it's too similar to this, Here, they sent a picture. They call it an advanced interrogation machine, which is, they're banking on torturing prisoners. That doesn't make sense, right? It's not the same thing. Mine was supposed to help society, and theirs was just evil. When did we stop evolving? We could go so much further, do so much more. How can we see, like, if we're gonna solve all of society's problems, we just have to take the price tag off of everything. I don't understand how we can see astronauts in the sky and lunar landings and just other things in the universe and not be putting all our resources towards reaching further, towards touching new worlds. I know that we could just go further and do so much more. I know that not everybody can be an astronaut or an engineer, I get that, but we just have the potential for more. How can we be so short-sighted as high-functioning creatures that we can see gods in the sky but not ourselves among them? How can we not see ourselves anything torturers and sellers of war? I just can't. I gotta be alone right now. What have I created? Am I a monster?
Sure, Gary may have lots of misfires, but every genius does. How many little tunes do you think Mozart wrote before he was successful? Probably dozens.
Actually, he was successful at 17. He began composing at 5.
Okay, well, Gary's like a 5-year-old trapped inside a 45-year-old body. It's just a matter of time before he goes Mozart. Deep down inside, I'm rooting for the guy. I really am.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children and loved them all too. She said, "Thank you, Lord Jesus, for sending them bread." She kissed them all gladly and sent them to bed. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children and loved them all too. She said, "Thank you, Lord Jesus."
Hey, Gary, what poem is this?
And kissed them all.
Boots, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11, 5, 9, and 20 miles a day. 4, 11, 7.
Come on, Gary. It's not your fault.
My nephew's been teaching me how to Photoshop. I made the whole thing up. It's not that far off from the original, though. It looks like a torture device. Gary Grossman, he's a torture machine on my soul.
When my great aunt died, they gathered at her house and they put all her possessions in a big pile in her living room. And my mother said I could pick something out to remember her by. I'd never met her, so I didn't really know what to grab. But I went through anyway, and I grabbed her travel toothbrush. And here was this thing. It was so cool. It was so simple yet ingenious. You just flip it around and it still works. I guess I credit this as my spark of curiosity, because after it, I started tinkering with electronics and taking things apart. But I couldn't forget about that pile. All those items with nowhere to go but the landfill. I just thought there's got to be a better way.
So, what's your next project?
And that's Gary's last request. He wanted to become one with nature.
Well, you wouldn't want an urn that just sits on your mantle and does nothing. So I invented the Ancestry, which is an ant farm that you can keep your loved one's ashes in. It brings joy to an otherwise sad event. It's a conversation starter. I mean, it's a good home for the ants. Kids can play with it, and maybe they'll become scientists themselves, get interested in inventing. I mean, that's the idea, man. Needs some work.